used, but at the same time, one of the most hated languages across the globe. Personally, I was very much on and off with JavaScript in my initial days until I found this amazing course on YouTube, Namaste JavaScript. In this video, I'm in conversation with Akshay, the creator of Namaste JavaScript. We talk about the story behind Namaste JavaScript, the benefits of learning anything in depth, and also how to start and grow your YouTube channel, among many other things. So make sure to stick around until the very end. If you are new here, like and subscribe the video, and as you always do, enjoy this, right?
Kind of a movie like Three Idiots, not a movie I don't want to name any.
Better.
So, basically, see, like I started doing YouTube kind of like 3 years back, okay, 3.5 years back or so. So I used to just teach online, right? I started with teaching interview preparation videos. I used to like teaching, so I thought that okay, let me take up interview questions and then solve it for them, because there was very less material available for front end, basically for JavaScript and front end interview questions, and they used to be mostly with the pure JS, right? They were not kind of with something which we really work on, right? We generally work on React or Angular or some frameworks in our companies, but the interview questions used to be on plain JavaScript, like in-depth knowledge of JavaScript. So I thought that okay, let me start creating that. And there was always in back of mind, there was a thing that okay, there is a lot of misinformation available on the internet regarding JavaScript, right? I mean, misinformation, less information, scattered information here and there, and there was no one resource which you can say okay, go follow this and you will understand JavaScript. And so basically that was kind of the motivation. So I was thinking to make JavaScript videos, but then lockdown happened, and then this idea popped up that okay, now is the right time to start that, right? I had a lot of time, I was saving a lot of time during my lockdown phase, right? I was not traveling, and so what I did was I set up a studio at my home, and then thought that okay, let me execute this idea which I had since a long time. So, but again, that was it. That's how it began. So. And then yes, I wanted to create an in-depth JavaScript course, and then these names, Namaste JavaScript, and all these things came up later. Yeah.
Okay, so like you had a passion for teaching always, and you saw that there was some kind of misinformation about JavaScript going on Twitter, on other platforms. So you tried to resolve that and combine both of your interests.
Kind of. So basically, see, I started with learning frameworks, right? I mean, I started my career as a software engineer, like a proper full stack kind of engineer, so I started with startups, right? So in startups, generally you don't have kind of like, when the startup is very small, you are working on front end as well as back end. You are kind of like everything engineer, right? You need to do DevOps stuff, you need to do front end, back end, anything, right? Whatever comes your way, you have to do that. So basically, so that was the point where I never thought that there is a difference between a front end and a back end engineer. Okay, everything was, we had to do everything, and I used to write code in this Spring Boot, Java Spring Boot, and JSP pages and all the stuff we used to do. Okay. But then as in when I moved ahead in my career, so I went to lending card, then to Paytm, then I realized that okay, there is a difference in front end engineer and back end engineer and all that stuff. So then I had a decision to make, that whether I want to stick to back end or front end or what, this, that, right? So basically I was more inclined towards front end, so I used to really like it. So then I picked up learning React and all the stuff, right? And then Node.js. So Node.js along with React and like JavaScript, right, thing. So after Java, I came into like JavaScript world, where I'm writing Node and React and all the stuff, right? Angular. So that was the point. I realized that okay, I don't know stuff, right? I mean, I am writing JavaScript and I am able to write it. Things work, but I don't know how things are working behind the scenes. What is happening? Like I'm running into errors. I go to Stack Overflow pages, I am able to solve it, but then I don't know how it works, right? So that and then I thought that, okay, let me understand it, right? I gave myself some time and thought that, okay, let me study once. Like, I haven't studied JavaScript ever in my life. I started writing code and I became really good at it. I was able to write production ready code, but I never studied like JavaScript properly. Then I started studying and then I realized that, oh, JavaScript is, so I used to like hate JavaScript that time, right? I mean, I used to be like, I used to really hate JavaScript, that what is going on in this language? Like, why it is so messy and random things are happening. But then I like started studying and I got so curious that then I started, when I understood it properly, then I realized that it is one of the like most amazing languages out there, right? And that's how it has been popular since like 25, 26 years now, right? 27 years now, I guess. 1995 JavaScript was born, right? So since then it is like on the top, and now you know, right, how popular JavaScript
that's
is.
A very relatable point you mentioned, Akshay. Like, even with me, I have been on and off with JavaScript in my initial years. The thing I found with most problematic was understanding how things are working. So I found a course on front-end masters by Will Santons. It was a great course. He taught me like I found out so many beautiful things. There's a global execution context. Inside that, there's another execution context. So it was such a beautiful thing. So I really then fell in love with JavaScript. So what's your why did you decide to go in depth in JavaScript?
Yes. So basically, see, the course you are talking about, yes, I have seen that course too, right? I mean, and Will, like, amazing teacher, Kyle Simpson, amazing teacher,
Right.
and there are so many more, right? So basically, see, basically why I wanted to dive deep into JavaScript is, see, most of the people, us, right, I have seen is when you say, okay, I want to study JavaScript. So, there is no proper, there is no proper resources available, right? Which goes in depth, in so much depth that they are talking about execution context, global execution context. And, a lot of things are very scattered around, and people have given their own definitions. Okay, I'll give you an example. So, there is the memory creation phase, right, where hoisting happens. So hoisting is just a concept in JavaScript, right? And but explaining hoisting to people can be done in thousands of different ways. Okay, right. just like closures. Okay, so
Right.
It depends on teacher to teacher how they want to explain it. Okay, some teacher can take random examples, some teacher, like I have read, you don't know JS, Kyle Simpson takes some other examples of marbles and bubbles and pebbles to explain things, right? Will Sentence kind of call closures as backpack and backpack and all this stuff happening around. So basically it is upon teacher how they want to explain, and that's how things have been always, right? Even when we study physics, chemistry, maths, or like random stuff, and teachers used to give us like random examples to make us understand. So I realized that, okay, there is a different way how we learn, right? And in Namaste JavaScript course also, I have explained things in a very different way. Some of the topics, right, I have explained it in a very different way, which is like my understanding to JavaScript. So JavaScript has been there since 27 years, right? JavaScript has been there since 27 years, and people have been teaching JavaScript since 27 years. There have been so many course materials, video lectures, blogs, articles, and so many things since 27 years are being constantly published. Even today, every day, I don't know how many articles would have been published about JavaScript, right? Talking about the same concepts.
True.
And everybody is writing in their own word. I can go ahead, write anything. And because of this, there is like random information also available. So just like people say that hoisting is like variables moving to the top. So at some point of time, some teacher would have thought that, okay, it is a similar behavior, right? When you see like from 50,000 feet above, you see that, okay, variables are moving on the top. You can justify it by saying that. But if you dive deep, then you realize what is happening behind the scenes. Like, it's not the variables that are moving top, but something else is happening with the
Right,
memory
right,
creation
right.
phase, right? So
Mhm.
so that's what it is. So I thought that okay, this is a place, like I think there is a gap which I can fill, right? And I personally wanted to make this series and wanted to make it for free on YouTube, so that like I want to explain it in my own words and see
Hmm.
how it goes, right? So that's why I thought that okay, let me do that. Another thing was I really love JavaScript myself, and there were things which I really like from random resources I have read, studied from some blogs. Suppose there is something from You Don't Know JS, there is something from which I read in some random blog by some other author. Some things I read in Stack Overflow answers, like random here and there stuff. I
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
just take it and like come up with some best out of it, what I can give right now. Yeah.
Hmm. You said a very interesting thing that you love JavaScript. I
I
attended
love it.
your
Yes.
talk
Now.
at NG India, and you started the
Oh.
talk with most people hate JavaScript. Like the most hated language is JavaScript. So why do you think there is this drastic contrast of some people loving and some people hating JavaScript?
Yes. So that's what, right? So my talk started with these three questions. Like I always start my JavaScript talks, if I have to explain it to someone, with these three questions. So what is the most hated programming language in the world? It is JavaScript. What is the most loved programming language in the world?
JavaScript.
JavaScript. And what is the most popular programming language in the world? Like popularity in terms of how it is being used, and right? It is again JavaScript.
Right.
If it is so loved language and it is so popular, then why do people hate it? Right? So the only reason is because they don't understand it. Right?
I get your point.
And so this is so my so Namaste JavaScript trailer is like this only, like these three questions. And then the only reason why people hate it so much is because they don't understand it properly. And the second reason, and a very most important reason, I'll tell you what it is. Mostly JavaScript is people's second language, or second or third or fourth language. It's almost never the first language for anyone. Right? So what happens is, when people would have, and mostly in India, right, we have come from a background of C++ or Java.
Right?
So when you have seen those proper object-oriented, sophisticated languages, and you have that things in your head, right? You have such concepts of int and strings and all the data structures and all this, like data types and random things happening in a certain way, right? You have classes and all the stuff, right? So when they start doing JavaScript, right, when they come into a functional programming language, then it becomes very then things don't work the way they want to, right? Because JavaScript is so much open to things. True. Right? So you can do literally anything in JavaScript and you'll be like, oh shit, what happened? Right? So just because most of the times, just because it is the second language, right? So people carry the baggage of their older language into JavaScript, and then they expect things to work the same way how they used to work there over here, but with a syntax change, right? So when you went from C to Java, then it was like, okay, oh, acha, here we define like this, and now in Java we write string and this, right? And equal to and all this stuff. So, but then you can't expect the same thing to happen in JavaScript. So I always tell people that if you are learning JavaScript, please don't compare it with any other language. You should not compare it with any other language. Right? First thing. And the second thing is that appreciate the beauty of how it is designed and write it in a fashion that how JavaScript can be appreciated. Like it's a very good functional programming language. So write it in that way. And if you understand it properly, then you would love it. There is no reason you don't.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
I also started with C++, then moved to Java, then to JavaScript. So I totally relate with that. All right. So Akshay, like you learned JavaScript in depth. That helped you a lot. So like folks, if I'm studying C++ only, it's better if I studied in depth, right? So how can somebody focus on studying a particular thing, a particular language in particular, in depth? like where can they look for resources to go in depth in a particular language?
Hmm. See, it's. I understood your question basically. So basically, question is to be very honest, I'm still learning JavaScript. There is
Right.
something new which I still find out. Okay, I was just shooting. I was just shooting and preparing content for some videos, and I really came up to so many things that, oh shit, I thought, okay, oh, this also happens. Oh my god, this is something new. This is
Right,
like
right.
it happens a lot of times. I feel that learning JavaScript is, I think, a lifetime game. It will never stop. Uh, and if I clearly see and go to my previous videos and see, I myself find some things which I could have explained it even more better. Right? So
Right.
I think this will never end. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's a very generic question which you asked. It is not just about learning JavaScript or Java or C++ in depth. It is about learning anything in the world in depth, right? And the
Right.
concept is, and the one thing which I think is like, if you want to learn anything in depth, the only thing which I feel is required is curiosity, right? Today,
Right.
if you have just two things, internet and curiosity, these are the two things required for you to learn anything in depth.
True, makes
Right?
sense.
Today, what is not there on internet, right? Or if it is not there, then today who is not on internet? Go find an expert if you don't find resources. Else you have resources to study everything in depth. At least the programming languages and all that, everything in computer science almost is in depth available online. And there is so much free content available online that people don't even realize. They fall into that ads, trim ads, and all the stuff. But I believe that there is so much to learn, and in depth available. Everything. Like, I am telling you that I since a long time haven't purchased anything, right? Any courses or something. All the JavaScript, mostly like 99% of the JavaScript that I study is from the free resources online, here and there, some blog articles or something. It just takes some
Right.
Google searches away, right? It is that you should have curiosity. I'll tell you how my journey has been while learning. So basically, first of all, I don't learn for the sake of just clearing interviews. Ye pehla point, which most people do. They
True.
study just because they want to crack interviews. That's why they don't learn. I'll tell you an example. If I have an interview tomorrow, okay, I'll find out. I literally did. Okay, I had an interview. I found out that, okay, there is a, like, most top interview questions in JavaScript, and then you will find
Okay.
hoisting. You search for hoisting, you will get a W3 school link, right? And on the top, right, you go to W3 school link, and there is a line written, hoisting is a phenomena where variables move on the top. And then you can just memorize it and understand, okay, variables are moving on the top, and then go ahead and then move to the next question, and then you just ended your curiosity there.
Right.
And
Right.
and you just take those, and then you fed your mind with that, and you just spit it out in the interview, right? That's how generally people work, and that's how even I used to work. But then at some point of time, I wanted to, like, properly understand JavaScript, what's happening behind the scenes. So that curiosity led me to those right questions. Okay, and those right questions were, is really variables moving on the top in JavaScript? Like, that does not make sense. And if they are moving so, then why are they not moving in some cases, right? There are special case. What happens when there is let, when there is cons, when it is inside a function, when it is like random stuff like that
Yes, yes,
happens,
yes.
right? So that curiosity led me to searching things up, right? And when I searched things up, then I started to get, oh, execution context, oh, global execution context, oh, memory creation phase, oh, and then I was like, oh shit, and there is so much in-depth things. Like, I went to reading, like, Google V8's blog. Okay, there is a very special blog of Google's JavaScript engine V8. Okay, and then those blog articles talks in depth about how V8 works. I mean, so many things I still have to read. Like it is in my curiosity, and
Right.
it just never end. I feel that it is like
Right.
a curiosity hell, but
Right.
but
Right.
it's a very good curiosity hell to be stuck into. Right? I
Hmm.
have. I thought that okay, I will give myself 1 month and I will like properly understand and learn JavaScript. Right? I will study that, and like I was so damn false. Right? I mean, it can never happen. I feel that learning JavaScript will never happen across my life, but.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, there are
So you
so many
mentioned,
things to do. Yep. So this
yeah.
is how that curiosity and internet is the two things which you need. Yeah.
Hmm. So you mentioned that we just need the curiosity to learn something, and then just not stop on asking questions. If you have a question, just search it. If you have another question, search
Yes.
it. All right.
And then be
Another
curious
thing.
about things, right? Don't just end your curiosity at a point where okay, if it does not make sense, try to find more into it. Read from several resources. Because I told you, right, since 27 years people have been writing blogs, explaining things, making videos out of random stuff, right? Somebody can just take that w3 line and then paste like talk inside a video, right? And then all
Right.
the people who are studying from that video are now learning that. So that's how.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So another thing can be like I always like to learn by building. I always like to learn by building. Even if it's a small function, I like to build a small app, not a big full-fledged app, just a small app for that particular function. So while learning, what sort of projects should folks make to have a good understanding and also have a good showcase of their skills of JavaScript?
So I tell this to everybody. This is the most asked question, and I always have the similar kind of answer. Let me give it to you once again. So when you are in college, I don't care if you are from which background, right? If you have interest into whatever subject domain, front end, back end, machine learning, data science, whatever, I feel that at least once in your lifetime, just try learning this web development or HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or basic stuff. And you can just start with the basic projects in even your first, second year by just building your own personal portfolio website. Why not? Right? Everybody needs it. Today it is kind of an identity, right?
Right.
Go to like I built it when I was in college, and it is still the same. You know, my portfolio website akshaysaini.in is the same which it was like 8 years back. It's the same right now, and I created it 8 years back. So I am just telling that why not create it. So first thing you can do is like I'm just telling you the basics, right? Even if you want to try, build your own portfolio website. It does not require heavy backend or APIs or random stuff to learn. Just plain HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And even if you have doubts about it, that okay, and even if you have doubts about like how to start from scratch, don't start. Pick up a template online and then try to build it on your own. You know, so you don't have to worry about anything else because the content is yours, right? It is your personal portfolio website, so you know what needs to be put over there, right? So you don't have to worry about content, you don't have to worry about backend APIs, you don't have to worry about like random shit. So you are just focusing upon building a small thing, and building a personal portfolio website can be a one-day project as well as a 10-day or a 1 month or 1 year project also. How depth you want to go into, right? Just keep on building stuff. Once you get confidence that okay, I have built something which is ready to be deployed or is presentable, then try to launch it, right? When you try to release it on a domain, then you will learn a lot of things about internet.
True.
About mapping DNS, about where to host stuff. Oh, is there a hosting? Oh, we hosted there, and then domain name comes from GoDaddy, and then you have to map the DNS to these servers. Okay, my server has a different name. How to? Okay, now I need a HTTPS. So now there are lots of services which gives you one-click access to everything. You can use that too, right? If you want to. But I would suggest that okay, make this small portfolio website and do everything on your own. Buy a domain from GoDaddy or some like not sponsored by GoDaddy, but yes, any other domain name service provider, and if buy a domain and then try to configure it yourself by hosting it to some server, right? So you would understand about the internet also. So then it properly is a kind of like, you will learn about internet, you will learn about HTML, how JavaScript works, and small stuff. You would understand that, okay, how blocks are inside JavaScript, and then how you move, how you put stuff, how things
Mm-hmm.
animate, click handlers, and all those stuff. So just try to do that, and you would, and that is the project. Like building your own personal project is a personal website is a project which you would be 100% interested in.
Right.
Today, if I tell you that, okay, build some random project, you might not be interested in it, right?
True.
But this is the project which you definitely would be interested in. It just needs your time and your willingness to do that. So first start with that, and as you move ahead in college, I am just talking about college students, okay, right now. So, and as you move ahead, you can now fill your when you will make your personal projects, personal website, then you would have a section of projects, and then you will have like empty icons there. So you would think, okay, now let me build some projects to fill in there. So
Right.
then go ahead and find those projects. Then you can pick up a lot more complicated projects, like some projects which has backend inside it, right, where you communicate with the backend APIs, right? Once you are done doing that, right, it can be anything like handling CRUD operations into a full stack project, right? And then slowly move on to increasing your hello, are you there? I see it
Yeah, yeah.
stuck.
No,
Okay.
I'm here. I'm
So
here. Yeah, yeah.
okay. So what I was saying was, okay, so now once you are done doing this, like once you are done doing that, first project should be your personal portfolio website. The second could be just doing like CRUD operations where you talk to APIs, get data, manipulate data, and show dynamic stuff, right? And the third project, since the third projects, now you try to solve some problem outside, right? That's how you kind of gradually improve. And following this path will also tell you whether you really want to make your career out of it or not. By the end of second or third project, you would realize, no, this is not my cup of tea. Or you would like be so much fascinated to
Yeah,
do this
true.
that you would end up choosing this as your career.
True.
So I feel
Again,
this is the best way. Yes.
Again,
But
this
people
was
don't
so
realize
relatable.
it.
Yeah, go on.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that students just don't want to invest time into it. I don't know how. Like, I mean, and building and learning is the best stuff out there. Best. I mean, obviously, you don't know how to, like, there would definitely be some theory out of it, like how code is moving here and there. I feel that, okay, that is
Right.
even like, you don't have to learn about execution context and global execution context to start all this, right? You can just start building.
Right.
And slowly, if you really start liking it, then go in depth and learn everything about JavaScript, about frameworks, and all the stuff. Yeah.
Again, this was so relatable. Like when I started my first freelancing project, I used a template. I learned how to get the domain name. I learned how to host it. So this was really good
Exactly.
advice which you gave.
Yes, definitely. I give it so many times, but I still see, like, genuinely students, it's students know everything. It is just that they don't follow things up, right? And they are so much distracted these days, so much distracted that I don't know. I tell every student that a student, it is very easy for a student to win. The कौन बच्चा सबसे आगे चले जाएगा, right? The only student who will win in their own path, in their own career, win for themselves, will be the one who keeps themselves away from distractions. That is the first thing which students need to take care of. Not machine learning or data science or AI, ML, Web3, Metaverse, web development, DSA. Nothing.
Right.
It is about cutting distractions. This is the major thing people should learn.
Right.
Students should learn at least. Yeah.
True. Okay, Akshay. Like another major conflict that students nowadays face is jumping onto frameworks, libraries, React, Angular, or sticking to core language, JavaScript, learning about it, making projects with it, and then moving on to the frameworks and libraries. So, what do you think? What should be the right path?
So see, I mean, there is no right or wrong path, first of all. Okay. See, what I feel is, at the end of the day, you have to build something out of it. When you are just starting up, right? Initially, if I tell you that, okay, just go start by learning what is the type of data types in JavaScript, number, then study what is nan, then study what is like random stuff out there, undefined, what is undefined. So I don't suggest that. Okay, go
I
ahead
will run
if you
away.
are just starting. Huh? Sorry.
I said I
Yeah,
will run
exactly,
away.
right? Huh, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That they. So basically, I feel that okay, in that way, if you really want to test your interest, whether you really like it or not, you can go ahead by just building small projects and learn as you go ahead, as you generally do, right? Pick up a template. Most of the times, just by reading the code, you would understand what is happening here and there,
True.
right? I mean, it's so easy. Like HTML, JavaScript, it's like plain in kind of English, right? You know, block starts here. This is the opening tag. This is the closing tag. This is
Right.
like, it's a no-brainer. Like even my mom or dad could like know that okay, this is something opening, this is closing, and those tags make their own sense, right? If you just search for, if you don't even know some tags, just Google it. You would find it one Google search away, right? So I would say that okay, try to build stuff. Once you have realized that okay, you have like a good interest in it, then start to learn like things up, right? Today most of the companies, most of the projects are being built on frameworks. So I don't say avoid frameworks.
Right.
You should learn frameworks, right? And avoid it. But just understanding frameworks can get you started. But if you want to be a senior developer, you cannot become a good senior developer unless you understand the nitty-gritty things about JavaScript.
Right.
You will fall into a very big trap in that way. And I have seen people doing that, right? They have reached to a stage of in their career where they're like 10 years, 12 years, 15 years experience, but still don't know basic stuffs about how things are happening. You can, I'm honestly telling you, you can make your way around just by learning frameworks. You can reach to topmost places and things. But once you start learning JavaScript and the small things behind how things are, then you would appreciate things. Wow, what's happening? And you would love your daily job, right? I mean, you would love
True.
how beautiful things are. So that's the one thing. The another thing is that become a developer not just to build products using these frameworks, but become a developer that you can build these frameworks. You should have the knowledge to build these frameworks. Not that you use the frameworks and build something out of it.
Right.
It is like you are just using abstractions to build something. Become a developer in such a depth that you are so confident that I can write tomorrow my own React, or I kind of like, if you see something magical happening inside React, you should know how it is happening. Or if it was given to you, you would at least take a day and can build something similar. Even though it is not perfect, but at least you should have that understanding that okay, something like this can be built in JavaScript. You know how React has turned out to be now. Just that one statement, use state or like effects and all the stuff, context, it does so many things behind the scenes. It almost feel magical. I'm telling you, just because I have come from the world of jQuery and like writing pure vanilla JavaScript. Like I just feel that, oh my god, what is happening with this JavaScript, right? What could have been written behind the scenes? Today we use these things unconsciously, but I feel that okay, become a developer, not just building products out of these frameworks, but can you build a framework is the right question you should ask. If you are at a particular, like, I mean, if you are into the industry 5-6 years down the line, you should know these basic and core architecture level things. Yeah.
Wow. So basically, to summarize, you should focus on both the things, but the main thing is having complete knowledge. Don't just learn to clear the interview or just for the sake of learning. The main thing is to have complete understanding.
Yes, that's a poor way to learning it, and I feel that is one of the major reason why people never understand it or hate it, because they don't really never learn JavaScript like properly, or they don't know, right? They just learn it enough to get their way through the interviews, but then they really don't understand it. I feel that, right? I mean, so basically, in a nutshell, first of all, try to figure out whether you really want to go into this career path or not. Once you have decided that okay, I have to go, then there is no going back. Learn frameworks along with JavaScript, and pick up any framework. Like, no framework wars.
That's a completely different for another day.
Yes. take all my advice, whatever I give you right now, with a pinch of salt. Okay, so with a pinch of salt and with your wisdom. Okay, if it makes sense to you. But what I see is, as we go ahead in tech world, right? There are like thousands of people teaching thousands of things in the world, right? Just ask one question to yourself whenever you are making any tutorial videos. I'm just assuming that when you say tech YouTube channel, you are like properly teaching stuff. If you're not into it, if you are into vlogs or just unboxing and all the stuff, then you should post a lot, right? That's how people have grown so far, and they grow very fast. But if you are really into like teaching on YouTube, so then you need to be very much just focus upon creating the best quality content. Focus on creating less but very much quality. That has helped me so far, right? And don't worry about the reach comes later. Okay, so these videos don't pick up immediately, right? They don't just,
Right.
because people don't study like every day. Like it's not
Yeah,
not a KGF trailer that everybody just want to run and watch it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like that, but it is kind of like you are kind of building a movie like, what you'll say, Dhamal and Hangama and
Wow.
all those iconic Bollywood movies, which people will watch it like years down the line, right? So
True.
don't build movies which will come and go like this, right? Which you see it generally, but build a legacy, right? Kind of a movie like Three Idiots, not a movie I don't want to name any.
Better.
So